in our favor. We've got good search conditions, and we're hoping we can find this ship.
Lieutenant gave some of what they found are more life rings and oil sheen and a container believed to be from the El Faro. The search is now going round the clock, day and night. 33 people on board, 28 of them are Americans. Another suspect in a freeway shooting in Phoenix has been arrested. Police say Christopher Hoffman has admitted to a drive-by shooting. He's facing assault and drug charges, but he's only linked to one shooting and not a suspect in the wave of 11 shootings that plagued Phoenix in late August and September. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Paul Bodenloss with a look at the roadways. Solid delays on the Tri-State Tollway heading northbound between the Bishop Ford and just before Thornton Quarry because of a crash taking out the two center lanes. Traffic is getting by using the far right lane or the far left lane. Also on the Indiana Toll Road on 90 West at Grant Street. There's an overturned truck on the exit ramp, but traffic is getting by on the shoulder. In Gurnee, Route 132, Grand Avenue at Almond Road, there's a crash. Also in the Wheaton area, Butterfield Road at Bradford Drive, there's been a report of a crash. And finally, in the Grays Lake area on Route 45 at Washington Street, there's a report of a crash as well. Tonight, 56 and cloudy. Tomorrow, 65 and cloudy, currently 57. Next update in 15 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking for a better shooting experience, imagine shooting virtually all your firearms the same day. You can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, or compete in a 3-gun match. You can exercise that rifle out to 600 yards, even engage in a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. Do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Whether you're a novice looking for a basic course or an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, even if you want to participate in your favorite shooting event such as IDPA or cowboy action shooting. Spend an enjoyable day with the family at the Aurora Sportsman's Club, the only shooting facility in the region that offers all of that and more. If that sounds interesting, don't miss the next orientation and a tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois. Call the membership department at 815-264-9000 extension 44 for information. That's 815-264-9000 extension 44 to join a one-of-a-kind shooting facility. The Aurora Sportsman's Club.
There are times when people need a little extra money, honest, hardworking people, and some banks don't always make it fast or easy. But finally, there's a company who gets it, who could help my listeners that need it. Avant. You simply go to avantoffer.com on your computer or phone to check your rate risk-free with no effect on your FICO score. Complete your application in minutes, and the funds could be in your account as soon as tomorrow. If any of my listeners need a loan between $1,000 and $35,000, go to avantoffer.com. Avant will give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after you make your first payment on time. For this offer and to check your rate risk-free, go to avantoffer.com and enter promo code BORROW. That's AVANT offer.com, promo code BORROW, avantoffer.com, promo code BORROW. Loans made by WebBank and by affiliates of Avant Incorporated. California loans offered by Avant are made under finance lender's license number 603K124. Funds are generally deposited via ACH for delivery next business day and for approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David and Gretchen's guests will be Nick Ficarello and Craig Butkovic, both longtime students of the U.S. Constitution, talking about how little people understand about the Constitution and its importance to the freedoms Americans enjoy. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to give us a call, 312-642-5600, or go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
Not just no, but hell no. Obama has made it known that the United Nations is standing by to help restore peace and control in American cities. The extent to which peace and control may have eroded in American cities is directly attributable to the Obama administration, the pinnacle of 50 years of liberal social engineering. The latest societal breakdown occurred this past Thursday when yet another nut job killed a bunch of community college students in Roseburg, Oregon. He would walk into a classroom with a gun, tell everybody to stand up, ask them their religion, then shoot the Christians. Note to liberal idiots. This is a pretty good example of what we mean when we say there is a war on against Christians. Less than 6 hours after the massacre that claimed 10 lives and wounded about 20 more, Obama called a press conference to demand, you guessed it, new gun laws. I may be listening to my own radio show too much, but this seems a bit too convenient. The day before the massacre, Attorney General Loretta Lynch told the United Nations that the Attorney General's office, working with several U.S. cities, will be working on a global law enforcement initiative called the Strong Cities Network, or SCN. According to the DOJ announcement, while many cities and local authorities are developing innovative responses to address this challenge, no systematic efforts are in place to share experiences, pool resources, and build a community of cities to inspire local action on a global scale. Unquote. There's a reason there's no systematic efforts toward global law and order. It's unconstitutional. It's a states' right issue, not federal and certainly not international. It's called the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. The SCN will include an international steering committee of approximately 25 cities and other subnational entities from different regions, and will also convene an international advisory board, which includes representatives from relevant city-focused groups and networks to help ensure SCN builds up their work. It will be run by the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a think and do tank that deals with violent extremism. And what is the one common denominator among all these groups that are going to band together and save our poor little country? They're all with the United Nations. Where in the Constitution is that mentioned? And who gets to decide who is an extremist? Now, lest you think I'm pulling this out of a place where the sun don't shine, check out the Department of Justice September 28th press release titled Launch of Strong Cities Network to Strengthen Community Resilience Against Violent Extremism. That sucking noise you hear is 40 million American gun owners breaking open hermetically sealed cans of reloaded ammo. And I hope the first blue-helmeted surrender monkey that walks into any city in the United States holding a firearm has his life insurance policy paid up, because believe me, there are at least 40 million people who do not want him there. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, that was good. What can I say?
Sorry, I don't have anything really profound to say.
It brings into question the Constitution. You're listening to On Target Radio, AM 560, The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Obama has declared in his speech, didn't say it specifically, but very strongly referenced that we should now confiscate all guns in the United States.
Right. I pointed out when we were having dinner tonight that it was a veiled reference, because only the high info Second Amendment people know that when he refers to Great Britain and Australia, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about confiscation. He knows better than to actually use the word confiscation.
I'm not so sure he knows better, but yes, he probably does. So we're joined this evening with old friends, not old friends as an elderly, but longtime friends, Nick Ficarello. And Nick is in the studio with us, and Craig Butkovic is actually kind of recovering. He's been under the weather. He's had some health issues, and you're feeling better now, right, Craig?
Oh, yes, I am. Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to join you all again.
Well, we'll have Craig on the phone, and we're going to be talking about the U.S. Constitution. The thing that sort of set this off in my mind initially, and it was kind of funny, but here's just a couple of statistics I want to throw out real quickly. 1 in 3 Americans believes the Bill of Rights guarantees the right to home ownership. 1 in 4 Americans believes the Bill of Rights guarantees equal pay for equal work. And my personal favorite, this is from a survey, okay, that was done by the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania. 1 in 10 Americans, 12% of the population of this country, believes the Bill of Rights guarantees the right to own a pet. I don't know, Nick. Does it guarantee the right to own a pet?
No, unless you talk to my wife, who is a pet rescuer.
That's true. I see it on your Facebook page all the time. Yeah. Maybe it should. Maybe it should. It's in a way, it's hard for me to imagine this, but then, we're plugged into this stuff. 25% of the respondents agreed, and this really scares me, agreed that it might be better to do away with the court. They're talking about the Supreme Court, with the court altogether if it started making a lot of rulings most Americans disagreed with.
I believe that we have failed in our educational system. We have failed probably since the mid-'60s. When I was working on my master's degree in political science, the education I was receiving was indoctrination, not education.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was indoctrination to the progressive liberal mindset. When you talk about confiscation, Obama uses the term legislation. Legislation is code for confiscation.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't just pass laws that are in violation of the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, sure he can.
Well, you can.
Executive action.
Well, I was going to say, he just makes executive orders. It's not technically passing a law.
Well, that's true. Now, and that's an interesting thing. Craig, you're still hanging in there?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. That's an interesting thing that's brought up here about passing laws and executive orders. An executive order can't trump the Constitution, can it?
No, it cannot. No, it's strictly held for that term of the president that issues that order, and the next president can revoke that.
But, okay, so if Obama were to say, or any president were to say, by executive fiat, we are going to collect every gun in the United States, could he actually do that as an executive order?
Well, I think he could try to do that. I would hope that he'd have enough, quite frankly, enough common sense and political sense not to even try that. But even if he did try, I'm sure that there'd be enough civil litigation being filed that it would be stopped at a moment's notice. And I think most serious scholars of the Constitution, whether they have a liberal outlook or conservative outlook, would certainly know that it's just not going to pass the constitutional test.
You agree with that, Nick?
To a degree, I believe that he's pressed the envelope when it comes to his executive orders. His executive orders pertain to interpretation of various health laws and how certain issues are passed by Congress, but then he believes that those issues are not the same as were interpreted by Congress. We haven't had a budget under this administration. The last time I checked, we still don't have a budget under this administration.
No.
And it is Congress, the House of Representatives, place to pass a budget, formulate the budget, but he does it by executive order and fiat.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that bothers me the most is the whole issue that surrounds the Second Amendment, which I want to talk about when we come back from break. The whole Second Amendment thing is, I think, is very difficult for people to wrap their brain around because of the wording and whatever made them word it this way. But it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And different people interpret that in different ways because it's kind of an obscure way to, I think, to word it. They should have just said folks can have guns. So we're going to talk about that when we come back, and a whole lot more with On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM 560.
The Answer.
Explain your way out of the Second Amendment?
I can explain the word infringe and how it's been interpreted.
Okay.
It's also involved in the First Amendment.
Because, I mean, that is, the wording is what liberals hang their hat on. Malicious.
Infringed, I believe, I found a problem from a fringe that absolutely. The first memo of the Constitution also uses the word infringed.
Where?
Infringing bills.
See, I looked it up when you sent me that. It's not in there.
So I like the term surrender monkey. And I was thinking too, you mentioned about,
Oh, actually, the French are the surrender monkeys.
Right. I know, but you said the surrender monkeys. And then you were saying about Obama having the sense about, about the doing a executive order. And, you could say, well, one of those helper monkeys might be able to tell them not to.
No, we're not going there.
That's what I figured, because it wouldn't be really appropriate.
Yeah, tarred and feathered over that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got a message from that guy Larry that was in
I don't mean that in a
He
racist
said
way.
those nice bright blue UN helmets make for nice targets. You can see them a long ways away.
The nice blue UN helmets make a nice target.
You could also say the Blue Man Group.
The Blue Man Group, right? The Smurf boys.
Oh, bridging. Okay, bridging.
Keep up on this stuff.
Yeah,
Sort of.
I know what you're bridging. Just pulled it up before.
He also said, all I can say is that if Obama really wants this, let's get this party started. It's the only way we will show them that this is going to go well for them.
Well, we're talking about this at dinner. You know what? This whole thing about gun confiscation, all that is not going to fly south of Mason-Dixon. That's going to be a major problem.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is the question has always been, if you want to confiscate our guns, who's going to do it? You're going to send the police? Most of the police won't do it.
Yeah, right. That's going to be a real
That's a
problem.
dangerous proposition.
Yeah.
The question is, what is the meaning of the word infringed? And what was the meaning of the word infringed at that time?
Isn't it infringed, that little frilly stuff that hangs on the jacket?
Isn't that what's on the pillow?
So
Yeah, isn't that infringed?
we got a few people
I thought it was
watching.
infringed. Yeah.
It's your home only better.
Well, I'm
One
not a
minute.
genius about money. I love my credit
So the
cards.
people out there watching on our webcam, they need to share the link so that people can watch it too. The people out there watching the webcam need to share our link so that other people can watch it too.
Calling. I figured I had a problem and I didn't know how to deal with it. I heard about Trinity, so I called and talked to a counselor. In half an hour, we worked out a plan. Now I've got one easy monthly payment, a lower interest rate,
Yeah.
and
What I just read?
Oh, you're again.
I think it's funny.
You want
That never seem to go away. Then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity will consolidate your accounts, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call 1-800.
The Constitution should permit, should guarantee.
800-758-5360. Call 1-758-5360.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more on Target Radio. Larry sent us a message on Facebook. He said, those nice bright blue UN helmets make for nice targets. You can see them a long ways away. All I can say is if Obama really wants this, let's get this party started.
Yeah, we were talking at dinner. You can say all you want, but first of all, south of the Mason-Dixon line, it ain't gonna happen. No, that's just out. That's out.
It's not gonna fly.
and then the other point is, which you brought up, and we said many a time, many cops, I certainly wouldn't say all, but many cops would not do that.
If they send, how are they going to take our guns away? Ostensibly they would send police officers and, marshals and sheriffs and deputies and people like that. And I'm guessing a lot of them would simply not obey that order. They would consider it an unconstitutional order.
Maybe they'd send Eric Holder door to door.
That'd be awesome.
Has possibilities. It could happen. We're talking about the Constitution, and we've been talking a little bit about the Second Amendment here, but just in general, there's the whole Second Amendment issue. I don't understand how there's any provision, and I'm not suggesting that there aren't a few that I might be okay with, But I don't understand how did we ever get to the point where there's any limitations on something on the Bill of Rights? I just don't understand how that came about. This has slowly been eroded and chipped away. Nothing that has been proposed, nothing that has been proposed at all would have solved or prevented any one of these mass murders at the schools. Nothing.
You're right, Dave. And unfortunately, I think when you look at the Second Amendment, people have disagreements about the language or whatever, but I think whenever you look at something that was written that long ago, you have to take the historical significance, which was in effect while it was going on. I mean, the colonists grew up with weapons as an everyday tool. Even before they established our country, they were required to have weapons in order to form colonial militias to protect themselves on the frontier. And then they realized, after those colonial militias went into rebellion and they actually formed the Continental Army, when they started writing the Constitution, they realized they never could have pulled off the revolution and been successful had not the populace been armed in the first place.
That's true. I think where people get hung up on this is the wording of a well-regulated militia. And what the anti-gun people say is, well, a well-regulated militia is the National Guard. But in fact, the armed populace was the militia in those days.
Exactly. It was the average everyday citizen that was basically banding together with his neighbors just to protect their homesteads. And it's a historic perspective that really doesn't exist any longer. But at that point in time, I think that's why you have to take that into consideration when you try to interpret what they really meant, much the same way as many courts sometimes when they're having a real problem trying to interpret the true message of a legislature when they pass a bill. They'll have to look to what was the actual legislative intent? What did the legislature really intend on doing when they passed a bill or a law? Because
back in the colonial days, when there were states, when we were a United States, most states had an army of some sort. In fact, that was a big debate about should it be a federal army or should there be state armies. And you can hear the crickets on that one. It's really quiet.
That's not a constitutional question. It's a historical question. That's not their wheelhouse.
Well, but true. But that's where it's framed from when they say militia. People who, whether they believe it or not, want to be anti-gun say, well, militia is the National Guard. But the reality is states had part-time armies, I guess you'd call them, and the militia was just John Q. Citizen. It was the average guy had a rifle.
The way I look at it,
the citizens of a county might compromise a militia, and that was a local militia. They were the protection force.
Exactly.
A couple issues. When you look at the initial Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, there are two separate amendments that mention states and states' rights. The 10th Amendment and the rest of the amendments all pertain to individual rights, except in the Second Amendment. It does mention the state to have a well-regulated militia. And historically, those were our armed citizens that came, the Minutemen, that came when called to protect. Currently, obviously, we have a standing army, but we are one of the only countries, only quote-unquote, as somebody would say, civilized countries that still has ownership of firearms. Another one is Switzerland. In Switzerland,
right,
it is mandated that every household has a weapon because of the fact that the Swiss citizenry is expected to protect their homeland in case being invaded. And nobody's ever invaded Switzerland. And hopefully nobody will ever invade the United States because we do have an armed citizenry. When you hear progressives and liberals say that, well, guns were just used for hunting, that's not correct. Guns were used for protection, for self-protection, for protection, along with more so that issue than hunting.
Actually, in the PowerPoint presentation that I put together, at one point, and that's actually was the beginning of the Revolutionary War, was the British were trying to disarm the colonists. And the colonists knew, they had seen this happen in England, they'd seen it happen in Ireland. The colonists knew what the British did. And so they said, oh, hell no, we're not going to let that happen. And again, it was a big part of the revolution. And so when it came time to write the Constitution, they said, gosh darn it, that's going to be in there.
Yeah, it's and it was conquered in Lexington. The shot heard around the world was the British trying to take guns from the the colonists. You're listening to On Target Radio's AM 560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. We have Patrick on from Schaumburg, wants to talk about the Mason-Dixon line. How you doing, Patrick?
You said that gun control wouldn't fly under the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, confiscation.
Well, you're wrong, because it will, because people from New York and New Jersey, Connecticut, and Illinois are moving to those states, and they bring with them the infection of gun control.
Well,
it's like influenza.
Let me ask you a question now, because I lived down there. I
lived in Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah. So let me tell you, I lived in Louisiana and I've lived in Georgia. Yep. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, there are people who move there from the big city, yep, but the vast, overwhelming majority of people down there.
When were you in Louisiana?
In the 80s.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah. But
I'm telling you, this infection that comes from New York spreads slowly. It takes 20, 30, 40 years. But you look in like the Carolinas, they're changing. All these states below the Mason-Dixon line are changing because these people who move from the big cities, because it's horrible, go down there and they bring with them this infection of statism and control of government. And
so wait, don't you think that some of these people are moving because they want to go to a better, more gun-friendlier area?
I think
a lot of them are dopey. All right.
I think we vote to put them in the UN, give them a blue helmet, and then they're better targets, right?
They're all dopey. And they all come from the '60s, because I'm in that. I'm 65. They all come from the '60s and the peace and all this other garbage, and they're going down there and they're destroying what used to be the South.
Well, I will say that the big cities, there are big cities in the South that tend to be liberal. Houston is, San Antonio is, Atlanta is, but get into the rural areas and all of those people. Well, anyway, I don't see confiscation happening. Okay, I just don't see it happening. I don't know. But it's against the Constitution. I don't see how, if they wanted to do it, how they could do it. No,
David, earlier you had stated that. And Gretchen had also followed up by stating that it would be the police that would come and get your guns. If everybody remembers, at the beginning of Obama's first term, he talked about having a civil defense that was as equally armed as the military.
Yeah.
What is that purpose? What is the purpose to have a civil defense? Are we waiting for a zombie attack, or are the Democrats really zombies? I don't know.
Now he's literally said that the UN is on standby. Good luck on that one. But in any event,
that would be considered an invasion. I think most people would. Well, most normal people would consider it an invasion.
All right, we're gonna have to take another break. When we come back, one of the things that we just want to talk about at least a little bit is we want to talk about what the heck is treason. It's something that keeps getting thrown around a lot lately, and I think it's worth taking a look at. According to the Constitution, what exactly is treason, and how do you prove it? We're going to be back with that and a whole lot more with On Target Radio, and you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, so you're bringing this one.
Yes, I'm bringing this back.
I'll go into the other room, tie myself down.
I'll just start talking the same time you start talking.
As long as we say the same thing, it's kind of like Gretchen and I doing the out.
That was an excellent call.
Huh?
That was an excellent call.
I'm glad you prepared me adequately for that guy.
As soon as I picked up the phone, hi, let me tell you something. I'm like, this guy's going anywhere. Yeah. In a way, and he was making a joke, and you took it completely seriously. So then he rebutted it completely seriously.
Oh, he's joking?
Well, no, but he was trying to make the joke about New York people. So then he had to go way over the top to enforce that. That's the infection. That's
Oh well.
That was excellent.
Promising a full and transparent investigation into the explosions.
I mean, he's no John from Crete.
No, that's hard to beat John.
Yeah.
First of all,
I think it'd be pretty easy to beat him in person.
It's hard to talk faster than John. So,
well, yeah, you know,
So
the
no
Micro
card for
Machines
now.
guy is dead.
So the Micro Machines guy is dead. You remember the guy from the Micro Machines? Yeah. That guy died a few years ago. So.
Yowza, yowza. Okay,
Gotta
so
find
you're
that guy
going to
from
do
the end of the
advertising.
audience.
Then we'll talk about treason. You have any pithy thoughts on treason, Nicholas?
Section 3 of Article 3.
So if I ask you what exactly is treason, you can give me an answer?
Waging war against the United States. No, that's Christ.
Put Butkovic on.
Yeah, one of the things that always
They do
bugs
have
me
sound effects on here, so you can't hear them in here.
when people throw treason around, like you were saying, this is treason. When the WikiLeaks thing happened,
Yeah.
and it's Assange guy, he's Australian, and he's got like I think a Finnish citizenship or some Swedish or something like that. The people like Ann Coulter and Sean Handy are on the other series. We need to charge this guy with treason. He's not an American citizen. You can't charge somebody with
who?
You can't charge somebody with betraying their country who isn't a
Who's not?
This Julian Assange guy.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So it was just that was the point where I was just like, I wish more people would just sort of learn what they're talking about.
I can't get a signal anywhere.
You got to go up to a window.
I did.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I got one bar.
Well, that's it. What more do you want? So treason, the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government.
It's a generalization of the Constitution. Treason against the United States shall consist only in leveling war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid or comfort. The person shall be convicted of treason unless the testimony. You have to have two witnesses.
For treason?
On this, yeah, you have to have two witnesses.
Don't line up for
Everybody
Obama.
posts their videos to Facebook nowadays. You can have 500,000.
Right, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I have 200 million witnesses.
See, the catchy thing, according to this,
And a third of them voted.
the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. So, is giving a free pathway to the Iranians to nuclear weapons? Did you hear about, he sent, I don't remember the guy's name.
Is ours.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635. 198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Kitchen need a makeover? Tired of your outdated bathroom? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2 million square feet of marble and granite countertops and 50 colors starting at $26 a square foot installed. Plus the latest appliances, cabinetry, faucets, and fixtures. Stone City designers transform your dream into reality. Stone City, 3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call 773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806. Stone City, it's your home only better.
I really enjoyed test driving that car, but I don't know if I can afford it.
Well, you can qualify for a low interest and payment auto loan depending on your credit score.
I don't even know what my credit score is.
You should go to Credit Sesame. They give you your credit score for free and so much more. In fact, you can check it right now.
Yes, at Credit Sesame, we help turn your credit score into the key that unlocks the things you want. Like that new car. We give you a free credit score and so much more. You get free credit monitoring and alerts, personal loan analysis and recommendations, money management tips and tools, all to save you money and help you reach your goals. Plus, identity theft protection, absolutely free. No credit card required. So do more with your score. Get started today. Visit freecreditsesame.com. That's freecredit, SESAME.com. freecreditsesame.com.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back, more On Target Radio. Hi, I'm Rick Cizak, the Advertising Sales Director for the On Target Media Group. If you own a small business and need more exposure to potential customers, and what small business doesn't, we can help. For over 3 years, the On Target Media Group has been helping small businesses grow. We offer many different and affordable marketing packages through our partnership program. Plus, we can even create a custom program tailored to your business's needs. To find out more, contact me today at sales.ontargetradio@gmail.com or visit our website at otmediagroup.net/sponsorship. Look forward to helping your business reach its target.
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM 560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Is it treasonous if the President of the United States tries to engineer a deal where he gets another country to sell fissionable material to Iran? Let me think. Isn't that the country that keeps yelling death to America? Or have I gotten the eyes wrong?
No, that's right.
Definition of treason. You got a definition for treason?
Is this a next question?
It is.
Oh, go ahead, Craig.
Craig?
It is a crime of betraying one's country as defined in Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort.
So let me ask you this then. If that's the definition of treason, in 2010, this president sent a guy named Gary Seymour, who is a former White House coordinator for arms control and weapons of mass destruction. What a great title. He must have had like a hinged business card. He visited Argentina and suggested that that nation provide Iran with nuclear fuel. That's 2 years into Obama's presidency. They turned him down. In fact, she said to him, this is her talking, put it in writing, which pretty much ended the conversation. And apparently he went to a couple of other countries and they all turned him down. That's the president of the United States trying to give nuclear fuel, which could go easily into a nuclear bomb, to a country that's telling us they want to kill us. And he's doing it on the QT. He was doing it behind the public's back. Is that not treason?
Well, personally, Dave, I think it's kind of bordering on it. I mean, it really makes one think as to what the president's really, what's in his mind when he does things like that. But I don't know if you had an opportunity to hear the Prime Minister of Israel's recent speech before the UN, where he specifically addressed all of the issues regarding the nuclear fuel issue with Iran. And he made some excellent points. I thought it was one of the best speeches I've heard in years.
This whole anti-Israeli, and we won't get into that in the show, but it's worth the show. The whole anti-Israel, they're one of the best allies we have ever had in the history of this country. And this guy has just done everything he can to get them wiped out. It just astounds me.
I must correct you actually a little bit. When you said he proposed it to a bunch of other countries and they all turned him down. Actually, what they ended up working out was Iran would give their fissionable material to Russia, who refined it and then sent it to France. France made nuclear fuel out of it and then sent it back to Iran.
Yeah,
supposedly that was to keep them from enriching their own, which it didn't. So,
well, and I think the point here is this: with this Iran deal and the Constitution, I do not see how this is possible. This is a country that has sworn to kill us. He's giving them a green light to get nuclear armament. Doesn't the Constitution forbid that sort of thing?
I believe there's a section of the Constitution that says you have to be at war at the time for a treasonous act to occur. You cannot charge somebody unless you're actually at war with the opposing country at the time, and then that person would have to be aiding and comforting your enemy. So it's debatable. Are we at war with Iran? Iran thinks they're at war with us.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that there's a group of Americans that would probably agree that we are in fact at war with Iran, but most Americans, if you ask them where Iran was on a globe, probably would not be able to find it.
Well, if you ask most Americans where Chicago is on a map of the U.S., they can't find it. I just, and I've said this on other shows in the past, and I'm going to say it again. We're playing by a set of rules that we have had for 200 and some years. And they're based on basically, to be frank, they're based on the Ten Commandments, the Judeo-Christian ethic. That's what they're based on. And the theory behind that, we've talked about this, the theory behind that is that we the people are willing participants because we feel there's a higher order. And that's why we follow laws. I mean, you're a cop for forever. There's no way any size police force can keep control of an entire nation. The people have to basically be willing to buy into the program. So we're now playing by rules that these guys don't play by. And if we don't change the rules, our rules, we're going to lose.
Well,
Everyone's nodding. For
Everybody's
the people at home.
The issue is that how do we change the rules, though?
Well, I don't know. And you're going to have a couple minutes to figure it out because we're going to take a break. When we come back, I expect you to have a total solution to this problem. But, I was watching these guys in Paris burning stuff and knocking over cars today and all that kind of stuff. And you know what came to my mind? We ought to just shoot a couple of them. And I know I'm going to hear about that, but that'll put a real chill on the whole thing. We're going to be back with more on Target Radio after this. You're listening to AM 560, The Answer. I hate these to say, I got a lot of Muslim friends, but these radical guys, they're in Paris, they're knocking buses over and they're knocking out windows and burning stuff. And I'm thinking, nobody's stopping them. They've always given these guys a task. They'll put a big sniper on the roof up there. And the first guy that knocks over a bus, shoot him. Because you know what happens when the police finally arrive? They run like little brats. They all go bailing out. Like little brats.
So there was a video recently where there was a younger, I think it was a younger Muslim. He was getting inside of some type of vehicle to go do a suicide mission, basically. He started breaking down crying.
Good for him.
You start shooting with the old couple of them, and they might start realizing that, you know what, this is what it's going to be like when I die. Maybe I don't want to do this. The virgins over there aren't worth it.
Yeah, really. I think you've ever looked at them.
Right now, no delays, any direction there.
The problem is, truly the problem is, they're using our rules against us.
Right.
They know we have a sense of fair play. That's right. They're using it against us. And if we don't change the rules of engagement,
to say, right?
I'm sorry.
No, George.
No. John is running for conflator in chief again tonight.
For what in chief?
Conflator in chief. He's tying 9 different things in together. That's why I tried to give you a sort of a glimpse into it. Birth control is birth prevention, and gun control is gun prevention. He's also very agitated. I can tell because he says, "Hey, George, is this George? This is John." I said, "Hey, what's up, John? Everything that is down, you should watch your vocabulary." And then he started into his thing. I said, "Okay."
Everything is what?
Everything that's. I said, "What's up, John?" And he goes, "Everything that's not down, you should watch your vocabulary." So, okay, so Johnson.
He's trying to
be Johnson.
No, John doesn't watch. Doesn't have a computer.
Doesn't have the internet.
According
to him.
You don't know John?
Maybe he doesn't have the internet.
He must not follow John is a fairly regular caller.
Go back and watch your previous
depending on whether or not
episodes
he's
of
on
YouTube.
his meds,
The following is not an
he either goes,
story from Trinity.
Numerous credit cards.
We're thinking it's the last part of the
I come back.
We have a good show.
I'll give you 20 seconds and watch him hit the post and still get like 6,000 words.
No.
I think
all of my
we're not doing birth control.
now I am completely debt free.
So I'm going to do a thing where we talk about how do you change the Constitution.
Stop to late fees and overload charges. Reduce
Yeah,
your
we
changed the Constitution to another credit score.
Right, so that's what we'll talk about.
The people at Trinity are very friendly. They will do whatever you need them to do in order for you to feel better about being in a very different.
If your debt has you down, call 800-758-5360.
My name is Ann, and I'm debt free for keeps.
1-800-758-5360.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And welcome back on Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Gretchen and I would like to thank Dan Rubino of Carroll Stream for his contribution to help keep On Target Radio on the air. Thanks, Dan. If you like On Target Radio and would like to make a contribution, just go to our website, otmediagroup.com, click on Buy Now, and contribute any amount you wish. $250 donors will be invited to come into the studio to watch the show up close and personal. $500 donor, you will be an on-air guest host for the evening. Now, more than ever, we need your help. The On Target News team has press credentials to cover the 2016 SHOT Show in Las Vegas next January. We'll be there conducting video interviews and reporting on what's happening by posting them on our Facebook page. If you'd like On Target News to report what's happening at the SHOT Show, please consider making a contribution by going to otmediagroup.com, click on Buy Now, and contribute any amount you wish. That's otmediagroup.com. We got Nick Ficarello and Craig Butkovic on. We're talking about the Constitution, and I want to shift gears a little bit because there has been talk about, we need to change the Constitution and all that. It's changing the Constitution is not trivial.
No.
What does it take to do that?
Well, I'll start, and I'm sure Craig will help me fill in. The Congress, which is both the House of Representatives and the Senate, need 2/3 of a vote to approve the amendment, and that way of amending the Constitution, I believe, does not need a presidential signature. You get 2/3 of the state legislature to ask Congress to call a national convention to propose amendments. You need another way is also 3/4 of state legislatures need to approve it, and I believe there's another way involving direct population vote in 3/4 of the states. Craig, can you help me out with that?
Nick, I think basically you're pretty much online with that. I'm actually thumbing through my Constitution as we speak, and I'm not exactly finding the exact article which addresses amendments to the Constitution. But obviously, it's a very complicated process. It's not easy, and I think the last time it was done was either 92 or 96, and it's a rather involved process.
Article 5, Craig, sets up amending the Constitution, I believe.
Okay, so when the Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to the Constitution, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states or by conventions of 3/4 thereof, as the one and the other mode of ratification shall be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall be in any matter affect the first 4 clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of equal suffrage in the Senate.
And here's an interesting thing that just occurred to me when you said that about the 3/4 of the states. If you look at a map about what states are predominantly conservative and what states are predominantly liberal, far more states are conservative.
Yeah.
So if it's
absolutely.
If it's a state issue and not a population issue, because population-wise, we're almost 50-50, I think, but state-wise, overwhelmingly conservative.
Right.
It might be impossible to change the Constitution in a deleterious way anyway.
Yeah, and I mean anything, I think, affecting certainly any of the first 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights. I mean, they have such longevity that, through the years since 1791 when it was passed, it's going to take, I think, a major push throughout this country to change anything that's enumerated within the Bill of Rights.
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM 560 The Answer. We're talking about the Constitution, and we have as our guest Nick Ficarello, who's here in the studio, and Craig Butkovic is calling in from home. We're talking about the Constitution, and the Supreme Court is sort of the wild card in this. What authority does the Supreme Court have? We have a balance. Really, our government is a triumvirate. You have the Supreme Court, you got the legislature, executive, legislature, and judicial. The Supreme Court can't trump the Constitution, but they can interpret it, can't they?
Correct. And that is what actually their main function is, to interpret the law.
In the 11th Amendment to the Constitution was actually an amendment that limited power from the Supreme Court and how they handled their cases ever since the 11th Amendment. The 11th Amendment took away, actually it gave states more power in the face of a Supreme Court case. I can't recall what the case was, but it basically says that the Supreme Court cannot make judgments between citizens of one state versus citizens of another state. And that was the First Amendment that happened after the Bill of Rights, and it limited the power of the Supreme Court. Getting back to earlier, we had talked about executive power, and it slipped my mind. The 10th Amendment grants the states the power to regulate anything that's not expressly written in the Constitution. Therefore, Obamacare, which grants uniform rights to people for health care, is unconstitutional.
All right. Well, we're going to have to take another break. When we come back, we're going to wrap it all up. It's been an interesting evening talking with old friends about the Constitution. We're going to be back, though, and put a cap on it all with more On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
Sorry. Where I was going with the,
Safer USA, Chicago's most
earlier
trusted
with the
firearm
executive
training,
executive
is offering
orders.
beginner's
Oh,
classes,
yeah.
tactical pistol and rifle.
If
Well,
you want to donate enough, I'll even give them a comprehensive.
There you go. Okay, that's a reason to not do it, but that's fine. You walk 25 miles.
Yeah, it's just 25 total.
25.
There's no
I
enforcement.
get tired driving.
Yeah,
No enforcement.
it's like a day off. I just like 5, 6, 7, 1 mile, 8 miles.
This is how to enforce the check and balance
Good for
of the
you.
Supreme Court.
Yeah, I gotta get checked in tomorrow.
Five justices clearing the 10th Amendment. They just do whatever they want.
I gotta get ready for shot show. It's a lot of walking.
Well, that's for sure. Did you get a ticket?
Yeah, they
Going
just
for
want
sure?
the Supreme
I
Court.
had the hotel room. I didn't get the ticket yet. That I gotta think about because I'm trying to get a company to actually set me up with media. I wish they would give me that comes to me once there, but
Didn't work out.
no, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. But the media day, the range day.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to see if I can get access to that through one of the people that are being.
It's an ideal situation.
You
got
can,
these guys on
but
this side, these guys on this side.
I know.
All the
But
moderators,
I mean, you can't go until Monday. And we'll get
I know that. I'm seeing if I can get there a day early. Maybe I could then I would change my plans. Because Monday night's a hotel room. So it depends on what time I get there.
Yeah, you gotta basically be there. You have to have a reservation, which you can get. We're gonna press pass.
Well, you have to have an invitation actually from the company now to get me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Why
you
did
can't
they
just.
start late?
I don't know.
You just signed up.
Yeah, now you have to get a company to invite you. Probably too many people like do with YouTube channels. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Call 224-513-1231.
15 seconds.
Jesus, how long you got?
George ran away. Probably 2 minutes.
1231. IllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense law firm.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
If you're a high school or college student interested in radio and video production or the shooting sports, both On Target Media Group and Safer USA make available unpaid internships. On Target Radio interns will learn all facets of the business, from call screening and on-air announcing to video production. Safer USA interns will help out at our Waterman, Illinois facility, both on the range and potentially in the classroom. Interns can take any Safer USA class free of charge, including firearm instructor courses. To be eligible for an On Target Media Group internship, you have to have Sunday evenings open every week from 8 to 11 p.m. and reliable transportation, as AM 560 studio is in Elk Grove Village. The On Target News team also occasionally shoots video on-location events. Safer USA interns will need to have their weekends open and be able to travel to Waterman, Illinois. For more information, call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
2 new ISRA local groups are forming, one in the Chatham neighborhood of Chicago and one in Wheaton, replacing the Bloomingdale meeting location. The next meeting of the Wheaton ISRA group will be Tuesday, October 20th at 7 p.m. at the Seven Dwarfs Restaurant on Roosevelt Road. I will let you know when I find out about the next meeting of the Chatham group. You are invited to compete in the ASC Fall Clays Classic at the Aurora Sportsman's Club on Saturday, November 7th from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The cost is $25 for adults and $15 for children, which includes 100 clays, brats, hot dogs, chips, and drinks. You will shoot 25 rounds of skeet, 25 rounds of 5-stand, 25 rounds of trap, and 25 rounds of your choice. The Aurora Sportsman's Club is on Rough Road in Waterman, Illinois, west of Sugar Grove. They would like RSVPs via email to asc.allclays@gmail.com. I put the info on Facebook earlier today. I'd like to say hello to my classmates, Joel and Rob from Millikan University, who are listening tonight. Hi. Joel's in town from North Carolina, so
Hi.
Special. The following Safer USA classes are all at our office in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, October 10th and 11th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry, as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. Saturday, October 10th, Long Range Rifle, taught by Ed Janka. Sunday, October 11th, Know Your AR Platform Rifle 1 and 2, taught by Eric. Sunday, October 18th, NRA Basic Pistol Course, taught by David. Saturday, October 24th, a Tactical Rifle 1 and 2, taught by Eric. Saturday and Sunday, October 24th and 25th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1, taught by David and Gretchen. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
Thank you, as always. We are not going to have a segment 6
No,
this week.
not this week.
We have an early call tomorrow.
We have an early appointment in downtown Joliet.
We do.
But they can check out our past episodes at our channel,
that's
youtube.com
that's true.
/
You
on
can do
Target
that.
Radio.
Nick, Craig, really appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Always very insightful on the Constitution. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dave. Pleasure being here.
Thanks, Dave. Craig, I'll talk to you later.
Well, I like that. Those sweet parting words. What more can you ask for? Okay, anyway, thank you for listening to On Target Radio, and be sure to listen next week when we'll be covering the red meat issues that affect your life.
We'd also like to thank Nick Ficarello and Craig Butkovic, George Hoffman on the board, our social media coordinator and ad sales director, Rick Cizak, and our sponsors, DS Arms, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, Stone City Kitchen and Bath Design Center, and Safer USA.
See, I think we just need to change the rules of engagement, Ficarello. We really do. We're going to have to start popping some of these guys. I'm getting on the edge here, on the fringe, right? Getting a little off on the fringe, but that's what I think. Anyway, we're going to be back next week again. And again, Nick and Craig, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. And as always, thank you, Michael, for making it all happen.
With talking like that, you're gonna have another black SUV outside your house.
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm not a genius about money. I love my credit cards, and they love me. I was using
We'll all be
them
audited.
as a source of
Oh, no
income,
doubt.
and then I got